Good evening. President Trump knew he wouldn't be welcomed by some in Pittsburgh, where 11 people were shot dead in a synagogue on Saturday. He went there this evening as president to express the support of the American people. But the role of national consoler does not sit well with many of his critics. They say first he should denounce white nationalism specifically and be less divisive generally. So hundreds of protesters turned out in Pittsburgh to make that clear.
He has travelled just 250 miles from the White House. But this is among the most controversial visits of his presidency. For in many quarters of this grieving community, in the suburbs of Pittsburgh, Donald Trump is simply not welcome. The president paused to lay a flower and some pebbles outside the Tree of Life synagogue, where the horror unfolded. He was accompanied not only by Melania, but also by his son-in-law Jared Kushner, an observant Jew, and his daughter Ivanka, who is a convert to Judaism.
Words have meaning!
At a rally here this afternoon, many made clear their view that Trump has empowered an extremist, white supremacist fringe, one that may have encouraged the gunman's virulent anti-Semitism.
You are not welcome in Pittsburgh!
7-1, contact, shots fired.
The mass shooting was among the worst attacks against the Jewish community in American history. And today there were funerals for 3 of the 11 who were murdered, including 2 brothers who were gunned down as they worshipped. Barry Werber survived by hiding in the synagogue storeroom, his friend dead at his feet.
He's laying on the floor, hasn't made a sound. I'm afraid to move. As I said, I was terribly scared. The door opens again and a guy walks in with a gun. I could see he had a shirt, a jacket, I couldn't tell you colors, pants. I was focused on that long gun. I figured it was an AR-15.
Members of his family died in the Holocaust, and now Barry is frightened here in the American heartland.
The politics of hate are deeper than I have seen in ages. And I'm afraid of it. I don't feel safe any longer.
To the Jewish community, what happened here on Saturday morning was, of course, the most profound shock imaginable. But I've also spoken to a local rabbi who said, in another sense, it was not a surprise, given the relentless rise in anti-Semitism. Aaron Bisno warns that Trump's language has directly fed the rise in hate that is spreading across America.
We're seeing this happen around the globe, and certainly a turn to a nationalistic kind of talk, a jingoism, an America First notion that we should be fearful of the other, the stranger in our midst, the immigrant, the other. That kind of talk eventually leads to anti-Semitism.
That seems to be an accusation directed at the Oval Office.
Well, I think that the tenor of our political dialogue has certainly changed, given who's now in the Oval Office, and the way in which he uses veiled rhetoric and code words and winks and nods to tacitly approve or give affirmation to the worst instincts and most base passions that are within each of us.
For American Jews, perhaps the single most shocking event was the Nazi-style rally in Virginia a year ago, which Trump failed to condemn in unambiguous terms.
I think there's blame on both sides.
And the president's newest self-description is adding to the alarm.
You know what I am? I'm a nationalist, okay? I'm a nationalist.
Tonight, this Jewish community is grieving and praying together, putting aside the political divisions and the language of exclusion that are causing such anguish. Robert Moore, News at 10, Pittsburgh.